This video is the second in a series developed by Alberta Health Services to support frontline staff in early disclosure conversations. The Alberta Health Services Disclosure of Harm procedure requires that if there has been any harm, there is any potential for future harm, or if there will be any change in care or monitoring because of something that has happened in our delivery of care, we must have a conversation with our patients. We call this conversation disclosure. In this video, we show an early disclosure conversation where it is immediately clear that care was not reasonable. An error occurred which resulted in a change in monitoring and a delayed discharge for the patient. As this will involve a change in monitoring, a disclosure conversation is required. Because the care was not reasonable, in the apology, we accept accountability for our contribution to the error. I would like you to listen for the key elements that should be included in a disclosure conversation: an apology, an explanation of what has happened, and an explanation of next steps and any future implications to the patient.
Hi, Paul.
Hi.
This is my charge nurse, Anne. Good morning, Paul.
Morning.
Paul, we need to talk to you about a mistake that was made with your medication this morning.
A mistake? What kind of mistake?
I discovered that you received your insulin injection twice this morning.
How could you let this happen?
I'm really sorry. I didn't record your insulin in the computer, and if I had done that, this mistake wouldn't have happened.
I can't believe this. What's going to happen to me?
Paul, we imagine you must be very upset and worried. We've already spoken with your doctor and he is aware of what has happened. We'll be checking your blood sugars very closely for the next several hours. We want you to know that you're safe and we'll be closely monitoring you.
I've never had that much insulin at one time. I can't believe this could happen in a hospital.
Would it be helpful if we explained to you how this occurred?
Yes, please, explain it to me.
You might recall that earlier this morning, after Susie gave you your insulin injection, there was a code blue called on the unit. This triggers an emergency response, and Susie needed to go and assist with that emergency. She didn't have the opportunity to document your insulin injection in the computer. On her way out, Susie asked one of her colleagues to check in on you while she was there.
Yes, I remember another nurse coming in briefly.
That was Jane. When Jane saw that your meal tray had arrived, she went to the computer to see if you'd received your insulin. Since it hadn't been documented, she believed that you hadn't received your injection yet. Do you recall Jane giving you another injection?
Well, yes, but I assumed that was the blood thinner I get every morning at breakfast time.
Well, we should have explained to you that that blood thinner was discontinued. I'm just really sorry. We all feel terrible about this. Really, when we're giving you your medications, we should be telling you what we're giving you. And if you notice anything unusual or different in your care, please just ask us about it.
Okay.
The reason I'm telling you this is because your questions might help us catch something like this and prevent mistakes like this happening. We try to do our best, but sometimes these things happen.
I never really thought about it, but I can see how that would help. I understand how something like this could happen in an emergency, but what do we do now?
Well, we've talked to your doctor, and unfortunately we are going to have to monitor your blood sugars for the next few hours. And unfortunately this means you are going to have a finger stick every hour for the next several hours. And we really need to be looking out for signs and symptoms of low blood sugar. Have you ever had low blood sugar before?
Yes, I remember the feeling.
Okay, so if you start to feel shaky, dizzy, nauseous, anything like that, you need to let me know right away.
We will treat your blood sugar if it goes too low. As long as we do all these things, there shouldn't be anything for you to worry about from this mistake. Paul, do you have any other questions for us?
I thought I was going home today. Does this change that?
We still think you'll be able to go home later today. Is there something I can do to help you with planning for a later discharge?
No, I'll just call my wife and have her pick me up later today.
Paul, we want you to know that when an error like this happens, we take it very seriously. We have a reporting system so that we can record this experience and learn from it to make our care safer for future patients.
I'm just glad you're taking it seriously.
If you have any other questions or concerns, or if there's anything else you'd like to talk about, please let Susie or any of the other nurses know. I'd be happy to come back and chat with you at any time. I'm sure everything will be fine, and we'll get you home later today.
Paul, I'm really, really sorry.
I appreciate you being honest with me. It's been a difficult morning for all of us.
Yeah. Well, if it's okay with you, I'd like to get started with your first blood sugar.
It is important that all disclosure conversations are documented in the patient's medical record by the person who leads the discussion. In the Alberta Health Services Disclosure of Harm procedure, there are 12 key elements that should be documented. We hope this video helps you feel more comfortable in having early disclosure conversations with your patients, no matter what your role is on the healthcare team. You can get more information and support through additional Alberta Health Services disclosure resources.